The future of two Americans detained in Russia may depend on the release of a notorious Russian arms dealer. Rome correspondent Alex Salvi has the story. Alex?
Greta, Viktor Bout is a man accused of selling weapons to al-Qaeda, the Taliban, and militants in Rwanda, just to name a few of the organizations. And now, as you were saying, he may be the centerpiece to the Biden administration's efforts to bring home two Americans in Russian custody. The Biden administration is trying to bring home WNBA star Brittany Griner and former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan. To do so, the White House is offering up former Soviet military officer Viktor Bout in a potential prisoner swap, a man currently serving 25 years in prison in the United States. Bout is charged with conspiring to kill Americans, acquiring anti-aircraft missiles, and providing support to terrorist organizations. And he may be a free man in the near future, with Secretary of State Antony Blinken refusing to give details, but confirming that there has been a proposal sent to the Kremlin to bring those two Americans home.
We put a substantial proposal on the table weeks ago to facilitate their release. Our governments have communicated repeatedly and directly on that proposal. And I'll use the conversation to follow up personally and, I hope, move us toward a resolution.
Russia for years has demanded the release of Bout from American custody, but there's no doubt his release would come with backlash. He's responsible for fueling conflicts all over the world, including in Liberia, Sierra Leone, Afghanistan, and Colombia. His notorious conduct was the inspiration behind the movie Lord of War, starring Nicolas Cage.
I supplied every army but the Salvation Army.
With the offer now on the table, it's up to the Kremlin to decide if he's worth bringing home in exchange for the two Americans that the State Department says have been unfairly prosecuted. And a Kremlin spokesperson saying today that there's been no deal yet with the United States on a potential prisoner swap, and is saying that Moscow was surprised by the announcement by Secretary Blinken. He says that any further discussions on the topic are best conducted in private. So, Greta, we may not hear much until a deal is officially reached between these two sides.
Alex, thank you. Alex Salvi in Rome. David Whelan, brother Paul Whelan, joins me. David, nice to talk to you. You know, I suppose that you're very hopeful that your brother's going to be coming home soon, but have you heard anything from the White House or from the Secretary of State in the last few days?
Just the regular contact we've had with the Secretary of State or the State Department and the National Security Council, their staff, stay in touch with our family and keep us apprised of what's going on to the extent that they can. But mostly we've just learned the same information that you have from the media.
Have you spoken to your brother, or has any member of your family spoken to your brother recently?
My parents were able to speak to him today by telephone, and he is aware of the offer that the Biden administration has made, and I think we'll watch just as hopefully as we all do to see what the Russian response is.
What facility is he being held in, and do you know what the conditions are?
It's pretty bad. It's a labor colony called IK-17. It's in the backwoods of Russia in an area called Mordovia. They have just been cutting back the food rations that they give to the prisoners because of the way the sanctions are impacting the Russian economy. There just isn't enough food. It's never been very good quality anyway. We've had to supplement it. And we also heard that the Ministry of Defense has been recruiting prisoners to go off to fight at the front lines in Ukraine. And 10 of the prisoners from Paul's camp seem to have volunteered.
When you talk about the food, can you give me an idea of what the food is like and what the reduced supply is?
It's mostly portion size that's been reduced. In the morning, you get a buckwheat porridge of some sort, mostly just sort of oats and water sort of thing. You get a cooked fish. Every 3 or 4 weeks, you might get an apple or an orange. It's very light on vegetables or anything fresh.
Does he have any communication with anyone at the embassy there? I mean, are they visiting him at all, or can they?
They've been able to visit. I think the last time was in June. And so they go when they can. They were limited by the pandemic. Also, the Russians removed themselves from a treaty or an agreement they had with the U.S. that allowed American diplomatic staff to leave Moscow or to go beyond 25 miles outside of Moscow without permission. So all of this makes it harder. I think over the 3.5 years that Paul has been there, the Russian government has done everything it can to try to keep him isolated.
Any idea of his health condition? We've seen other people come home from being detained overseas in pretty lousy condition.
Yeah, he's lost about 20% of his weight, the weight that he started with back in 2018. And with the food that he gets, we are obviously worried about his ability to stay healthy and any long-term effects from just, year after year of having to suffer in this condition.
You know what I mean, what I worry about is that Russia will say, we're going to do a one-for-one deal. Is that, you want two people. You want Brittany Griner and you want You want your brother for Mr. Bout. Do you worry about that? Do you have any reason to think? Because then, then the government either has a choice: don't do either one of them or bring one home.
It's a tricky position to be in. Yes, I think I sort of hope that the substantial offer, whatever it is something that will entice the Russian government to act in its self-interest and to release both Ms. Griner and Paul. We've obviously spoken as a family about what it would mean if Paul was once again left behind, as happened when Trevor Reed was released by the Russians in exchange for another concession, Konstantin Yaroshenko. The hard part of that is that we would be thrilled for the Griner family, but very disappointed for Paul. And there would be, once again, fewer concessions that the U.S. government could make that the Russians would be looking for.
Do you know what the terms of the deal are? Do you know if Russia's come back with a counteroffer?
No, I don't know anything like that, and I wouldn't have expected it. I saw that their foreign minister said that he wasn't going to be sort of getting involved with it at the moment. He was too busy. And I think that they'll be waiting until the Griner case resolves itself. Either she's freed or she is convicted and sentenced. That's the normal approach that the Russians take. And I don't think that they'll be taking any action until that case has been resolved.
David Whelan, thank you. I hope to see you soon again. And next time I hope that you have your brother home. So let's hope that happens.
Thank you, Greta.
And Brittany
Appreciate
Griner.
it.
Thank you.
Hey guys, it's Rob Carson. I want to tell you about the Patriot Gold Group. But first, let me tell you that the S&P has already lost $8.2 trillion in 2022. Did you know that? Peak inflation is not even hit despite the Fed rate hikes on groceries, on gas. You know it as well as I do. Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs are warning of another 20% drop. Inflation is winning in a knockout right now. The Fed is going to raise rates again at the end of July. Meanwhile, Goldman, Wells Fargo, and Bloomberg are all forecasting gold to surpass all-time highs. If you want to invest in gold, call 888-936-2373 now. Call the Patriot Gold Group today and ask about their no-fee-for-life IRA. Sounds like a good deal, don't it? Here's the number, 888-936-2373. 888-936-2373 for the Patriot Gold Group.